Who's writing this episode? Stephen Moffat? Oh. This is part 1 of a 3-part story. They are obviously setting up for the next episode. Oh my god! Bill is shooting the doctor! Okay. Now I'm excited. I'm gonna need some yogurt. Oh. You're here for the review, aren't you? Wow. Okay then, just go straight to the opening credits. I'll be with you in a minute, because I'm gonna need a lot of this. Cue the opening titles. Hi guys, Matt the Editor here, and welcome to another edition to my Who Reviews. First we get Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Doctor Who. Now we're getting Temple of Doom the same time next week before Empress of Mars. I see what you're doing there, BBC. So if this goes on, we get Eaters of the Light with Last Crusade, and that means, ooh, bummer. This week, it's The Lie of the Land. Now, I'm going to say the good as I usually do, as well as the bad and the wibbly wobbly. And some of the things I might say, you might say, are you serious, man? You don't understand this show? I mean, you know, they did this. I've got some good things to say. And some not good things to say. Okay, for this review, I'm going to start with the good and then the wibbly wobbly. And then go straight to the bad because, well, I've got a lot of things to say about that. But let's start with the good stuff, and I mean the really good stuff. I can say that without a doubt, the first 10 minutes of this episode are the good stuff. We get to see the people living in a world of propaganda and fake news and poverty under the rules of the monks. We see Bill having conversations with a ghost man, which I think is one of Bill's best scenes. And then we get a nice little scene with Nigel and Bill coming together. I like the little moment where she's testing to see if that's actually Nigel. And it does answer questions on where we left off from the last episode because, well, Nigel didn't get to shine in last week's episode, but now he does, which I'll get to that later. We get a scene of them discussing about the Doctor and their journey into the boat to find the Doctor was actually a more intriguing but without a doubt, the scene with the Doctor calling the monk guards up to the point where Bill fires the gun is all good. I can safely say that the scene with the Doctor and Bill in the office at gunpoint is the best scene in the entire episode. It actually felt more emotional and had more feeling than the one at the climax. Plus, I love that coat. I want that coat. Say what you will, Capaldi, he does a really good job as always, but I have to say, his facial expressions are the highlight of this episode. His creepy smile, cool. His laugh, which I think could have been good if it was a more climactic scene, or if he was still in league with the monks, would have really pissed my pants. But no, it was just for some random moment. But still, good face. Nardole, so much better than last week. I did like his moments with the hands, like saying that, I can do this with this hand, but I can't do it with this hand because, well, this is my old hand. That was pretty funny. I think there were some moments which were improvised. The visuals of this episode are stunning. Seeing the statues of the monks towering over London and other landmarks are really great. Kind of reminds me of the Ministry in Deathly Hallows. And when we find out what they actually do, that is an interesting idea. Yeah, I also like the bit when they were involved in the Battle of the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Weeping Angels, in which they used footage from Into the Dalek, Nightmare in Silver and Blink, so hooray for stock footage. Very silence-like, if you ask me. I also like the opening montage where they had all the monks appear in all these old photographs of like Albert Einstein or Martin Luther King, Winston Churchill, the Pope and all that. And of course, we get another Trump reference, which actually, that makes a lot more sense. And now the wibbly wobbly timey-wimey. The scenes with Missy are okay. They would have been good if it had the time. I mean, Michelle Gomez, she still does a good job. I mean, I still enjoy her as Missy. Not so much as the Master. Also, I just realised this is an episode of Missy which is not written by Stephen Moffat, so there's a nice bit of trivia. And the scene where they ask for her help actually felt like a good conversation for once. And she's given a good reason to be in this episode. Also, Rowan Extremis was more like, yeah, I'm Missy, I'm in the fold, let's move on. It felt quick. Actually, the more I think about it, I think it would have been much better if we found out she was in the fold in this episode rather than Extremis. Therefore, keep the idea of who's in the fold in Extremis a much bigger mystery. And I have to say, I do like a little monologue about her wanting to change, which I guess is going to be a crucial part of the finale. Also, this is Gallifrey music reference. There weren't actually that many supporting characters in this episode, and thank God there isn't. For what we got, I'll get to them later, but for what they were okay. This episode is meant to express the idea of fake news into Doctor Who, and you know what? For the most part, it works. The cut shots of the monks' footage with that symbol was a nice effect, but then there were moments where it felt kind of out of place. I mean, seeing the soldier being controlled by propaganda, which had the shots flying across the screen, as well as, mention, that little bit at the opening. That was a good touch. But then we get this scene with Bill and the Doctor talking whilst in hiding, and then it pops out of nowhere, which I think it could have been better without it. While I would say the climax felt sloppy, I have to say I do like the idea of the people fighting against the monks and therefore having them running away, which, not from the Doctor but from the human race, which I think is a nice throwback to the Christmas invasion. I like the idea of a mother figure holding out her hand to the world to stop the monks, but here's what I thought when I saw it. It's a little bit early. What I mean by that is that I think this entire scene was meant to be a scene for the series finale. I wouldn't be surprised if Moffat must have had that scene written in the finale, but since he did some research, he realised it's similar to the last of the Time Lords and Wedding of River Song, that he steals Whitehouse's script, changed the ending, and placed it back as if it was never touched. And now for the bad, and I'm sorry guys. Okay, before I start, I just want to say, I know there might be some people who like this episode, but this is opinion based. This is all my opinion. So if you disagree with me, if you like this episode, that is fine. This is just what I thought about this episode. So here they are. Now, where does the bad stuff happen? It's right about here. It turns out that all these rumors and stuff and hypeness about the Doctor's regeneration was all just for a random moment. It turns out that everything was a ruse. I'm not saying I wanted him to regenerate, I mean it's too early for that, but if all that was a lie, then that means all that character building, all that emotion was kicked aside, shot in the foot, and left in a corner to die. I mean, I watched the show with one of my parents and they mentioned that they knew the Doctor was lying. They knew he wasn't with the monks. And then again, you might argue it does fit in with the whole fake news scenario. I saw it coming. In my last review, I mentioned that I fear one of the main flaws with this episode is that there would be too much stuff happening that it kind of messes up the story a bit. And I'm sorry to say, I was 100% right. The rest of the episode goes downhill from this point. It's entirely rushed. Bill revealing to be the key, completely rushed. The scene with Missy, completely rushed. The climax, completely rushed. People take over, completely rushed. The ending, rushed. The monks are underused in this episode. Yeah, I guess it's meant to happen since they are in charge and, make it feel a little anomalous and all that. They didn't even speak. I don't think there was one scene when the monk ever spoke. But seriously, they did nothing. No, seriously, they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I mean, yeah, they had a little security fight in the dark, but that's it. Which is a real shame, and I mean a real shame. They're basically the silence from the Wedding of River song. The climax didn't feel that great. I mean, they set up the pyramid with all the screens showing footage of leaders of the world with the monks appearing in all photographs. That was pretty neat. And seeing the monks sit in the middle was pretty cool. But it did nothing. It just sat there. I was literally waiting for that monk or any monk to just pop up and fight back so, the Doctor and Bill don't ruin their plans. But nothing. Nothing happened. Even the fight scene felt sloppy. We had this random shot of the soldiers opening fire and no bullets were firing out. I'm not kidding. Watch that fight scene again and do not tell me there's not a shot of a soldier holding out a gun and just doing this. And there's no bullets coming out. It looked like someone playing with a toy gun. I'm sorry. I mean, I know the show's it hasn't got the bigger budget than it usually have, but come on, guys. We also get this random betrayal from one of the soldiers, which they could have just taken out and it wouldn't make any difference. And the scene with Bill saying goodbye to the Doctor, I'm sorry. I felt nothing. No, nothing. I didn't even cry. I didn't even weep. Because we all know she's not going to die. I mean, we still got 5 more episodes with her to appear in. I'm going to say it. I'm not going to say this one. I mean, I only watched it once before I saw this episode, but I have to say it. Honest to God, Luke Newman's War of the Daleks is a much better Doctor Who story than this one. Yeah, I said it. Come at me. I don't know why. I mean, I only watched it once, and I literally cried whilst in this one, I didn't feel anything. Yeah, I know this is a fan film, but I cannot escape the fact that I actually enjoyed watching a fan film than the actual episode. And if a fan film can be better than the actual show itself, that's not a good sign. Strange, but after watching over the trilogy all over again, the best episode out of all 3 is Extremis. Sure, the Mrs. subplot was unnecessary and the main problem of the episode, but at least the rest of the episode was very interesting to watch. And I wasn't bored or anything. I liked the religious aspect, the characters were interesting to look over, and the monks were even more creepy in that episode than the other 2 episodes. Which is sad, because the next thing I'm going to say is, I don't know why, but I kind of wish Moffat wrote this trilogy. I mean, don't get me wrong, he is the prince of plot holes and continuity errors, but at least he manages to get a story out of a very interesting premise. I mean, since he is the one who started this whole trilogy, I mean, why didn't he write the rest of it? Sure, he was part of the second one, but it didn't seem to fit well. It's the same with the Michael Bay Turtle movies. Sure, Bay may have produced them, but having someone direct it in his same style is much more sadder. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, don't get me wrong, they are all good writers. Peter Harness, good writer. Toby Whitehouse, good writer. But since Moffat started this whole trilogy, then he should at least be the one to finish it. And yes, White Point Star Productions, splitting them was a mistake. If it was just Moffat entirely, then we would be fine. We'd be like, that's our Moffat. I think it would have been better if they were all written by the same writer. That was the main flaw with The Girl Who Died and The Woman Who Lived. Sure, the characters were okay, and there was an occasional good scene or two, but the stories were mixed, the threats were lazily done, and some of the acting felt stale. Plus, none of those stories seemed to fit together since they were both written by a different writer. Or maybe this should have been a 1 hour episode. Or just a 2 parts story. Just saying. So, conclusion. Despite its opening minutes, Lie of the Land is disappointing. While the visuals do look good, and the Doctor and Bill and Nardole are good in the episode since there's not really that many supporting characters, but it doesn't excuse the fact that this episode is flawed. I think Moffat only started this trilogy to focus on the Doctor's relationship with Missy, rather than with all that interesting, intimidating, evil race, which I appreciate if that was the intended main primary focus. But when you've got a premise as intriguing and as interesting and as visually stunning as this, we'd expect better. If I was asked by the BBC to come down as a script supervisor, I would have done this. For extremists, I would take away the Missy subplot, introduce the monks, set up the premise, and have them take over the Earth at the end of the episode, thanks to Bill. With part 2, I'm not going to call it Pyramid at the End of the World because that's a stupid title. But I would have had part 2 be the entire first act of Lie of the Land, showing the world being taken over by the monks, which would have given us more information of how the world works, since there was this group of soldiers that take the people away. Seriously, what did they do with them? Yeah, and that character was completely pointless. Yeah, and therefore leading up to when the Bill and Nardole find the Doctor, and then we can end with Bill shooting the Doctor. Therefore, leaving us hyped for the Doctor's regeneration, and then have part 3 start from, the Doctor regenerating, he wakes up and we find out he was lying, and then have the entire thing have to come to a close, giving more time for the world, the premise, the characters, and the climax to be more epic than ever. Someone mentioned me on Twitter saying, there's so much hate from the Who editor about this episode, I better not watch it. Look, I don't hate this episode. The characters are good, the setting is good. But I think the story, the pace, the execution felt rushed and disjointed. When you're someone who's been attached to the show since its revival, that you've spent most of your life, your homes, your schools, your workplace, everything, when you spend your entire life inspired by it, and then you realize it does have its flaws, and it's true. It's not perfect. The show's not perfect. I know it's not perfect. But I think it takes a true fan to admit that their favorite show or film or musical is not perfect. There is no perfect show. There is no perfect film. There is no perfect Doctor Who story. It's only what I saw, what I thought, and I want to share it with you. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. Yeah. So as a standalone episode, I would have Lie of the Land be given 5 out of 10. But as a conclusion to the trilogy, I guess it might stay the same. Since this is a 3-part story, we had Extremists given the score 6 out of 10. Pyramid at the End of the World was given the score 6 out of 10, but after watching it again, I decided to give it 5 out of 10, so I'm going to change that. And Lie of the Land, which is given 5 out of 10. So overall we get 16 out of 30. Divided by 3, we get 5.33 out of 10. Rounded, we get 5 out of 10. So overall, the Monk Trilogy gets 5 out of 10 from me. But thankfully, next week's episode shows more promise. Be sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video. And if you have seen the episode, what did you think about it? If you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time. Let's run.